What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mongols. This is our reaction show where we're going to break down everything that we saw as the Hounds unfortunately lost 3-1 to Miami. We are recording this an hour earlier than expected because we want to get in and out. We don't want to talk about this game as much as you probably don't want to hear about it. I am Mike Sparks. Joining me is Steve Mattias and Josh Brokaw. Gentlemen, thanks for joining me. Josh, how was your week?
Good. I mean, pretty much just nerdy stuff, I don't know if anyone in our group or listening knows anything about Critical Role, but it's like a nerdy podcast. Actual play. Anyway, season or campaign 4 started this week, so that's been an exciting, fun time.
It's like the one with Brennan Lee Mulligan, right?
Yeah, he's going to be DMing it. So I did that, and then the new Taylor Swift album came out, so that was a big deal for a lot of people. And I don't know, I not really might consider myself a Swiftie, but I think I'm a fan of fandoms. Like, if there's a fandom and like people like get really excited or pumped about something, like I just like love that energy. So that it's been Critical Role and Taylor Swift crap all week for me.
I do not consider myself a Swiftie, but something I hadn't even considered. My wife told me, she was like, "Oh yeah, Taylor Swift's new album dropped," and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." So my brother, not Kevin, Jason, his significant other, Will, covers pop culture for Good Morning America. So literally this happened and I was like, it's no big deal. And Jason's like, Will hasn't slept for like 36 hours because it was like the album dropped. He had to go to like an album release party and report from there. Then he was on Good Morning America in the morning, then in the afternoon. And it's just like nonstop people talking about Taylor Swift. It's just a thing. Yeah. So yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Steve, are you a Swiftie?
No. Not at all. I avoid pop music as much as I possibly can. give me good 70s and earlier folk. Give me 90s pop punk and some like British Irish punk and the fusion between punk and folk, like Frank Turner, which I know you both listen to because I know Josh got you an album.
Yep.
Like that's like kind of my jam and a lot of modern folk stuff. So yeah, not my jam at all.
You mentioned like 90s pop rock. We were sitting in traffic the other day and somebody was blasting the All American Rejects, but we could hear them singing loudly like over everything else. And like the car that was in front of them, the woman kind of like looked at us. It was like looking back like, are you hearing this too? And we're like, yeah, good on him, man, living his best life. So
that's good. There's a lot of great music from a lot of different eras, but there is something nostalgic about going back and listening to like late 90s, early 2000s stuff that would have been on when we were middle school, high school.
I mean, pop punk's having a resurgence.
It really is.
Newer pop punk bands. The Paradox is a great one. Meet Me at the Altar just had a new single come out, and there's actually a local band called Grolix that just kind of showed up on the scene, and they're a lot of fun. So plenty of new music out there. Just gotta seek it out.
Gotta check it out. The algorithm isn't feeding it to me, so I'll need to take those names and go hunt them down. But good call there, Josh. Guys, I don't want to talk about this game, but we kind of have to. That's kind of what we do. Let's actually start with Mondo's moment, and then we can get into the game and get out of here.
It's time for Mondo's moment, the top moment of the game from the Mondalorian.
This week's Mondo moment from the match against the Miami FC comes right now. This is the moment. Take a minute, check in with friends, family, make sure you're all right, make sure they're all right. Everybody has feelings, and it's important to talk about them. Also, go schedule that cancer screening. It's really important. Cancer is a deadly disease and it'll sneak up on you. This is the way. Also, Charles All scored an absolute worldie of a volley. What an incredible goal. This is the way.
This has been Mondo's moment. Go Hounds.
I told him, I'm like, it was really sort of thoughtful and deep. Like, check in with yourself, go get cancer screening, and then I don't know. Charles All, man, like, what the heck?
Okay, can we talk about that goal? Because it was fantastic. Yeah. Probably Hounds goal of the season for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's definitely up there. I mean, I watched it repeatedly because I was just like,
Yeah.
this is so cool. Watching
Yeah.
him actually like just not even let it touch the ground before it got
Nope.
to him, just took it right away. I do question if that was meant to go to him at all. Like,
Oh, I don't think it was.
Yeah.
was it Augie that got the header? So it like goes off
yeah.
Augie's head, I think, and then it goes to Charles All.
Yeah.
In the exact opposite direction of the goal. I like to pretend like Augie did that on purpose, just so I don't feel upset that he tried to do a header and went the opposite direction. But it could have been. I don't know.
Listen, what was I doing? I was doing something on my phone, and my wife went, "Oh wow!" And I went, "Wait, what?" And she said, "No." And so it started from a set piece. Charles All took the set piece. It went long. Was it Biasi that played it back into the box? Mm-hmm. And then it like skipped off somebody's head and literally out of midair, all side volleyed it and put it right into the net. So yeah, I think, Steve, to your point, if it's not up for goal of the week in the USL, it should be, in terms of difficulty, in terms of how it looked. Really good goal. And I mean, really, especially for that first half, it felt like it was indicative of what the Hounds had going. Sample ripped one off the bar. Augie had a couple of good chances. Biasi had a clean shot on. It just felt like it was our game to win. And then it wasn't. The second half, we come out and we give up 3 unresponded goals, and we lose to a team that we haven't lost to in 9 outings. So,
and the team at the bottom of the league.
Yeah. And I want to retract my statement about Augie. It did not go off Augie's head. It was a defender. Okay. So I'm sorry to besmirch Augie when it comes to that situation.
I mean, but there's no besmirchment in that, right? Like, it's like ball's coming in, people are trying to make a play on it, somebody redirects it, keeping the ball alive. That's the goal before the goal.
Yeah, the goal before the goal.
We had talked a little bit about last week. Jacob Randolph got the start last week, and I think that, Steve, I asked you point blank. I said, "Does Randolph play again this week?" And you were like, "No." Like, you thought Dick would be right back in net. It was Randolph again.
Yeah,
Randolph looked good in the first half. Gave up 3 goals in the second. Don't know how much I would fault him on those, but Dick was on the bench. Now that it's been 2 weeks in a row, do you have any thoughts on the Dick situation, Steve?
I mean, a couple things, right? So, sure, do I directly fault him for any of those goals? No, but as a goalkeeper, you've got to be making plays. Giving up 3 goals against a team like this, you've got to get your defense more organized, be communicating better. So there is some culpability, I think, there. I mean, I got to figure either there is some reason behind the scenes that Eric is not playing that we don't know about, whether that's some sort of like interpersonal stuff or a small knock or something, and they don't want to keep him out there for the whole game, and he's only there as an insurance if they need to replace the goalkeeper. Or the other thought that I have is they know that he's not coming back. And so they're trying to see, is it worth re-signing Randolph to a new contract, which doesn't seem like the type of thing that you would expect of the Hounds ever offering a new contract to a keeper. But also, he's the first, that the Hounds have ever picked up the option on that wasn't a starting keeper. So kind of like, I don't know, right? It's like, so could I see them trying something different? Maybe, I don't know. But those are like the only things that I could think of why we're seeing this, because I don't think that Dick has been playing poorly. I mean, he had a couple of games where he wasn't at his best, but rebounded from that. And so lots of questions about Randolph over Dick at this point.
Josh, if you're picking the starting keeper for next week against Indy, who are you going with?
Dick, but I would have gone with Dick for this game as well. I do understand that Dick had a couple of games that were not the greatest. And I kind of got like, sitting him maybe like, I don't know what practice looks like. So if Randolph looked like he was ready to, he had more confidence going into it, or just like was itching to go, and you kind of want to go with a keeper who is feeling more sure of themselves, because I don't think Dick was feeling sure of himself after the couple games he had where he kind of just made some goofy mistakes and he looked visibly upset on the field. So I can understand not going with him for that one game. But I don't know. I think I was surprised to see Randolph in net. Like I was thinking like, okay, hopefully, the week off got him back in the right mindset and you start him. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know why he didn't start this time. I can't imagine it's an injury because I wouldn't think you would have him be on the bench if it is an injury. If it's serious enough where he can't start, I think it's serious enough for him not to be on the bench.
Yeah.
And I find it hard to believe that we would, even if we know for sure he's not going to sign next year or they're not going to pick it up or whatever. You still have a season to play and you have important games. Like these last couple of games are very important. They make up, if we're even in the playoffs, it's a possibility that we don't make the playoffs, but we also have a very strong shot at being at home. Actually, like other results have gone our way and it's to the point now where it wasn't unforeseeable that we would get in the third place. Because we had such a easy lineup of games coming up compared to the other people that we need to beat. And this was supposed to be the simplest of them all. I mean, a game against last place Miami, negative 18 goal differential, or 17 at the time, I think. I can't remember. And you would think this would be the game to go out and make a statement, especially after a couple of decent results going into it. To lose this one, though, it was pretty heartbreaking and kind of demoralizing as a fan watching this team do what they did that second half. Because, I mean, give it to them. That first half, I felt pretty good.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. The first half, I felt like, oh, Miami is not good at all. The second half, I was like, oh, the Hounds are not good at all right now, right? Like it completely switched. But I think to your point, Josh, like, is it that they went in, they took Miami for granted, got the lead, and we're like, okay, like we can rest on our laurels and we're going to lock this down. And Miami had different ideas and we didn't know how to adjust.
Yeah.
Not to give them an excuse, but I do wonder if maybe the humidity of this, of that game, you could tell everyone was sweating buckets and it was
like 80% humidity.
Yeah. It looked miserable. And I'm just wondering if it's a situation where the Hounds fitness or ability to play in that type of weather was a lot lower than Miami's, who's used to it. And you're sitting there, that first half, you're able to do such a great performance, out shooting, 15-1.
Yeah.
Crazy stats. And like, there are so many opportunities and, a couple of missed chances in that first half where it really did look like if we only have one goal by the end of this, it's going to be surprising. But then going in that second half, I'm just wondering if they just didn't have the stamina and Miami was, just better equipped for it.
Yeah. You mentioned, go ahead, Steve.
If that's the case, then I want to talk about the subs again, which is a topic we talk about far too often, I feel like. But it's like you've got two defenders on the bench that you didn't bring in. You only made 4 substitutions. You've got the chance to bring Alala Osamano, who you re-signed to a longer contract in the offseason. And granted, he's been working his way back, but if you're really concerned about the fitness in that weather, why are you not subbing a defender when you're making some of those other subs at the same time? When, it is hot, it is humid. Get one of those guys off and give them a little bit of break, get some fresh legs on there in defense, especially after you're down by a goal. Taking the risk of that, just to me, I don't know, like, doesn't sit well that you only used 4 of your subs and the defense was shaken. You didn't bring in a defender that apparently Bob Lilly trusts.
Yeah. Josh, you kind of alluded to it, that had the results gone our way, at least in this one, the results have gone our way elsewhere in the league, we had the opportunity to jump to 4th, which it feels very ironic considering the situation that we've been in. We're currently on a 0 goal differential And we've been saying what a struggle the season has been. I think this is much more indicative of just the rest of the East is a bit of a mess right now. We have strung a few games together. We could have been in a really good position. We wouldn't have locked up a playoff spot with a win last night, but we would have been really close. We would have separated ourselves by, I think, 8 or 9 points from the playoff line, which, with a few games left, makes it very difficult for other teams to catch us. But instead, we get none, and we fall to 6th. We're sort of left wondering what could have been. Steve, I know you looked at some statistics as it relates to kind of the current era that you wanted to talk about. I'm going to throw a chart up here on the screen that you'd put together. So this is basically current era performances over the past few seasons. Talk us through this, Steve.
Yeah. So following through, you look at where we are over these years. Looking on the far left side, the number of wins per season. And then after that is the win percentage, number of losses per season, the loss percentage, number of draws per season, and the draw percentage. And then games played and points per game. And so I want to look at last year and this year. And what I'm seeing is there's only one outlier in this in terms of declining performances over time. And that's in the draws. That this is one of our better seasons in terms of percentage of draws that we've had. But not great, right? So you don't want a lot of draws. You want those to be wins. You also don't want a lot of losses. You want those to be wins. But right now, we've got the most losses and the least win percentage. But what's even worse than that is our 1.37 points per game, which is by far the lowest in the Bob Lilly era. And if my math was right, we can't have a better points per game than we had at the end of last season, even if we went out from here on out. And so to me, it's just this team is not getting better. It's getting worse over time. And I think a big part of that is the other chart that I have, Mike. And that's goals, goals per 90. That other than the first year that Bob Lilly was here in Pittsburgh, you kind of saw an improvement in his second year, a huge boost in that shortened COVID season, but we can kind of discount that one. So if we're looking at his second year on, it's a decreasing goals per 90 minute every year to the point where we're not even scoring a goal per game this year. And that to me is really, really concerning. And it leaves me asking the question of, what is the difference in that? And I think the difference in that is you're trying to shoehorn in really good players, but you're not building a team that functions well together, right? And so I think we all agree, and we've talked about this throughout the year, that there's not many players on this team that we don't think belong on a starting lineup in the USL Championship. But I think I'm starting to ask myself the question of, do these players work together? And if they don't, that's not a player issue, right? Like that's not the player's fault. That's a tactical and a roster building issue.
Yeah. Steve, to your point, for those who can't sort of see the graphic, in 2021, we had 1.7 goals scored per game. And then literally every year since 2021, it went down. It went 1.7, 1.6, 1.5. Last year was 1.2. And currently within our season, we're at a 0.96 goals for scored this season. So not good. I think it comes back to what we discussed. There's all of this focus on the playoffs, and anything can happen in the playoffs. But based on what we're seeing, I think for all of us, and correct me if I'm wrong, I have no confidence we're going to do anything in the playoffs. Sure, there's a chance, but A, we've never performed well in the playoffs, and B, we're scoring less than a goal a game. And if you can't score, that's it, guys. It's over. So I
think also with the not scoring is, at least in the playoffs, if you don't let the other team score, you can, have a chance in PKs. But we're not really defensively stout. All in all, this is not exactly a team that is doing great at not letting goals in. So usually, sure, we don't score a lot of goals, but we also are like the best defensive team in the league. And we still have a lot of shutouts. We're not terrible defensively. I feel like that is the only thing saving us.
Mm-hmm.
But we're still not the greatest defensively this year. So I just feel like you got to have one or the other. Ideally, you have both. And I don't feel like we have one or the other.
Guys, before we get into sort of the Eastern Conference standings and just talk briefly about Indy coming to town next week, did you guys have any other takeaways from this game that you wanted to touch on?
It was just disheartening. I mean, I think I've already said that, but it's that second half really just like watching like the Steel Army Discord and like the just the public's Discord on the game, social media, that kind of stuff. You just felt like everyone was deflated after this game. I can't really say anything else without just venting and sound like I'm just a broken record here, but it was not great.
That's why I made charts, because it was the only way I could talk about this.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot that I feel like we're probably going to talk about once we get into the off season. We've had some conversations with different people about things that are potentially happening behind the scenes that maybe we'll get into, but that's just not for this one. This is just disheartening, and it kind of is what it is, and we kind of have to move on from there. Guys, do we even pick a top three? I know we flirted with the idea of not picking a top three in the past, but here's my
thing. Yes, if we pick a top three, we have to choose Charles All. But
right.
To Josh's point, I don't think that anybody played well in that second half, right? And so it's like we can give him points for that goal, and we probably should. But find me someone that I felt played well throughout the game, and I'm struggling to find that.
Yeah. Sorry, I just realized there was one other thing I wanted to talk about, and that was the lack of Mertz in the starting lineup or in the game at all. And I'm wondering if this is kind of just showing how important Mertz is to this team, because it did feel like there was something off in this team. Yeah. Especially that second half, obviously. I felt like the first half, yes, we were doing great, but it was also just Miami looked terrible. Like it wasn't even like it was particularly like the Hounds were playing on, on their heads or anything like that. It was just Miami looked bad. But not having Mertz on this team, and we usually don't see a lineup without Mertz, is he a lot more important to this team than we even give him credit for? And is that why we couldn't even beat the worst team in the league?
Yeah,
I want to agree with your first part, and I think we do give him credit, because if we look over Mike's shoulder, he's our player of the year right now. Yeah, and it's not even close, right? Like I think we've recognized that throughout the season.
That's true.
And
that's true.
I appreciate you pointing that out, that maybe this is an issue of without Robbie Mertz on the field, this team is not what we expect to see, right? And similarly to without Kenny Forbes on the field most of the time last year, we saw a big step down from the previous year. And there are other factors. I mean, losing the MVP of the league and the defender of the league in that offseason, and probably one of the best midfielders that the league has ever seen, taking a much more reduced role. Those are all important factors, but it's kind of that the question then becomes, is it that Bob Lilly is such a great coach, or is it that Bob Lilly has benefited from identifying talent or bringing talent in that has made him look a lot better than what he is when he doesn't have that talent?
I mean, that is part of being the coach, though. I mean, if he is able to identify that talent and bring it in, then that is a sign of a great coach. So, to that point, though, yes, I understand what you're getting at there.
Like, it's not a tactical thing; it's a development thing.
Yeah. I will say that I think that in this case we had Jockeson that started, which we said we haven't really seen much. It kind of happens here and there, but if you compare Jockeson to Mertz, I think that Mertz does a lot more of the dirty work that Jockeson won't, in terms of pressing, in terms of attacking, in terms of linking play, dragging the team along with them in a way that we see Charles All doing a lot as well. Like we said, All had a good game. So, but I think that's a really good point, Josh, is that when Robbie isn't there, is that a much bigger hole to fill than we would otherwise consider? And the answer could be yes, especially against the worst placed team in the league.
Yeah.
So
if anything, this game did make me appreciate him even more than we already obviously do, because it was obvious he was missed.
So do we want to give all points, but like be selective, give him the 1, 2, or 3 and don't give anybody else anything?
I'm willing to give him the 3 points. I think that goal was absolutely a master goal. And like, if nothing else, that goal was awesome. If we don't give anyone else points, I'm okay with that. But I do think he deserves to get recognized for that goal.
I'm cool with that.
3
Steve?
points.
Yeah, 3 points. That's great. He only has 1 point thus far, so that jumps him up the list. So that's good. So that's what we think. Let us know what you think there, guys. Looking at the standings briefly, as I mentioned, because we did not get the win last night, we are currently sitting on 37 points in 6th place. If the season was to end today, we would travel to North Carolina in the first round of the playoffs, but it does not end today. We actually wound up playing Indy 11 this week, which we'll talk about in a second. Indy are in 8th place, barely hanging on by 1 point to that spot. So Indy are going to come in wanting to get a win. As I mentioned, if we did get the win last night, we would have been sitting on 40 points. We would have jumped up to 4th place. And again, with the playoff line currently being between 32 and 31, that means that we would have had 8 to 9 points that someone would have to overcome to knock us out of the playoffs entirely. And that's just not going to happen. So yeah, not great.
Everything went right in the league for the Hounds, except for the Hounds game. Having North Carolina lose, having Loudoun lose, even Hartford, winning it is what it is, but like they're only 1 point ahead of us.
Yeah.
So it was wild how like those results shook out where we could have actually been in a home playoff position with a win. So the only thing in the Hounds' way was the Hounds.
Yeah. So I mentioned, guys, that this week, Indy 11 come to Highmark Stadium. It's going to be our second to last home game. We will be home, and then we go away to Monterey, and then our final game of the season, at least regular season, will be at home against Phoenix. As I just mentioned, Indy are currently on the bubble. They are in 8th place with Rhode Island right beneath them, 1 point behind. So this in no way is a gimme because, just thinking Indy are below us in the table, that's not going to be the case. They're going to want all 3 points. They're going to need all 3 points. Last time we played Indy was in June, and we lost to them 1-0. So again, not a gimme. Just thoughts on this game, Steve? Do you think that we got a shot at getting all 3 points? Do you think it's going to be a draw? How do you think this shakes out?
I mean, this is not the Indy team of the past, both in for them good ways and bad ways, right? Like there's a history between Indy and the Hounds, and a few players that they used to have that were just annoying to play against, and we would be the better team on the season regularly, and they would get some wins. And then there's the time that we beat them resoundingly, and the next day their coach gets fired, right? Yeah. So there's kind of that history there. I mean, sure, it makes me nervous, right? Like they've got Rhode Island nipping at their heels for that final playoff spot. They want to put as much distance as they can. We're coming off of a really poor result. They're going to see that as vulnerability, and I think they're going to come out to play and play well. And so, no, I don't feel great about this game. But I don't feel great about this game, not so much because I think Indy is a great team. It's that I just don't know which version of the Hounds are going to show up. Yeah. And if it's the version that showed up last night, then no, I don't feel good about this game. If it's the version that has showed up against some better teams, sure. But last night was a classic case, I think, of what we've talked about a few times this season of we're playing at or below our opponent's level, right? Like we're dropping to the level of where our opponents are. And it is frustrating, right? Because this is now 2 times this year where we've lost to the team that was bottom in the East.
Yeah. And look, I mean, this is going to be really our last chance to do some damage against the East because our last 2 games are against the West. So if we're going to stop somebody from getting points, this is it. Mm-hmm. So this is I don't want to say like this is our season, but like if we want to make our mark, this is our chance to make our mark on the East. Josh, how do you think this one shakes out?
Yeah, it definitely is a game where it feels like the Hounds are playing against the Hounds. As far as like, it doesn't matter who's on that field next week. It's all these teams other than like the top two are kind of in the same ballpark as far as talent goes. So I feel like this is less about our opponent and more about just us, the Hounds. Like if they can get out of their own heads, if they can get out of their own way, we have talent on this team. I do feel like it seems like everyone is just feeling the weight of the season and feeling just down. They got to rally on this, and just looking at that table, it's like everything is 1 point off each other. So going into the last couple of games or last game, 2 games being in fourth place feels a lot different than being like, man, we're in 7th place, 6th place, and if we're not careful, we could be out of the playoffs. So at any moment, this season can feel like it turns around, even though it's super close. Like right. I'm not saying this one win will turn the whole season around, but it will feel a lot different if you're battling to keep a home playoff position versus battling just to stay in the above the line. So
yeah. I want to put it kind of in another perspective of how kind of congested it is after you get somebody driving past. I don't know if you can hear it.
Yeah.
On a motorcycle or something. I don't know. So Charleston has 55 points with a game in hand over North Carolina. So that's a 14-point difference between Charleston and North Carolina. If they win that game in hand, then it goes up to 17 points. North Carolina to Miami is 17 points, right? So the gap between 2nd and 3rd is potentially as big as the gap between 3rd and 12th. That's insane. There's a lot that can still change. I think that, right, like Loudoun has got to be feeling pretty good. They don't need to do much. Hartford has a game in hand, so they don't need to do much if they can win that game in hand. But I think they also need to recognize that they've got to still go play Sacramento again after beating Sacramento in the Jaeger Cup final, and Sacramento's going to want vengeance, right? So they can't take that game for granted, even though they just won. We should make the playoffs, but will we? Detroit should make the playoffs. Will they? Indy, Rhode Island, Tampa, all are going to be battling for those final 2 spots. And
I mean, to be fair, I was saying Miami's not mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. No one is. And like, that's wild. Like Miami has a negative 16 goal differential, and they have had a terrible season, and yet they still have a chance at the playoffs.
Right. Maybe
that's a sign that the playoffs are too easy to get into, but that's besides the point. The point is, it's still anyone's season as far as who's going to be in these playoffs.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. I'm not even going to try to put a prediction on this one. I think everything you guys said is right. I think this is the Hounds versus the Hounds. Which team is going to show up? It could be a really good win at home and, sort of put a stamp on things and give the crowd something good to get behind. It could be a total CF, and it's just, a continuing spiral. So we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, but that is what we think. Let us know what you think. Guys, I want to kind of end on at least a quasi-happy note, I guess, maybe. So let's try it.
Hi, this is Ryan Reynolds. And no, this is not a Mint Mobile ad. It's the non-Hound soccer topic of the week.
So this came up totally...
I thought you forgot.
Yeah. So totally random topic. This literally came up at dinner tonight. I asked my kids if they could have... The question was, if you could have a plane ticket literally anywhere in the world right now, where would you want to go? And my middle son said Villa Park, like to go see Aston Villa play. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And so I'm going to reframe it for you guys. Aside from the Premier League team that you follow, because I feel like that's an easy one. If there would be any other team or any other stadium in the world that you would want to go see, if I could give you a ticket right now, where do you think you would go? I would say I would probably pick one of 2, and they're kind of like gimmies. I would love to go see Barcelona play at the Camp Nou. I feel like that's just like iconic. The other one that just popped into my head is I wouldn't mind going to see the Azteca, the stadium that's like shaped like a volcano. Like I think that would be really cool to go watch a game there. Steve, do you have any thoughts?
Oh, I think I'd go back to where it all started for me, where like playing soccer growing up, but what really pushed me over the edge into starting to follow soccer was being in Amsterdam while the Dutch played their last friendly before the '06 World Cup. Go watch the Netherlands in a sea of orange in a meaningful international game at home. It would be fantastic.
Yeah. Josh?
I'm boring. I don't watch any other leagues besides Premier League and USL and some MLS. So I don't really have anyone else I give a crap about.
Fly to Columbus.
Yeah, I was about going to Columbus. Or, like, I don't know. I feel like it would be fun, though, especially us following lower league soccer. I kind of just want to see, like, some no-name lower league soccer team in like England or Ireland or something like that. Like a team that just like, you know, is just above pub, like League One, even League Two. League Two would be fun. Like something like that. I think it'd be fun to see what
Josh is going to end up in like Cyprus or something like that now.
Yeah, like just something like random.
Yeah.
When Liz and I were talking about going to England, like literally one of the things I wanted to do was just like, is there a soccer game? I don't care what level it is. Like, if we can get tickets, let's just go and check it out and like see what that's like.
Yeah. Justin talked about, I think, their last trip over there. He went to some lower league team. It was just like whoever was closest, and he went by himself. But he said the fandom was insane, and it was so much fun. And yeah, I'm with you, 100%. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's what we think. Let us know what you think, guys. Any other kind of closing thoughts to this one?
I'm going to be honest. We're like, after being upset about this game, we are so much better off this season than I thought we would be at this point. Like it feels weird to look at this table and being like, are we seriously only like one game away from fourth place? Like one win, if all the other, you know, results go our way. But it's wild how close this table is in the East. It is so wild.
Agreed. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. I know we didn't really want to talk about this one, but glad to be doing it with you guys. Apologies for anyone who was expecting this to be at 7. We just wanted to get it over with and get back to our evening. Hopefully everyone has a really good week and you know, getting ready for Indy to come to town. Hopefully the guys can get their heads right and get us a full 3 points. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back with more Hounds content for you very, very soon.
Later.
See ya.